The Indian Air Force is set to host its first major multinational military war games later this year. 6 leading air forces of the world will send their most advanced fighter jets to go head-to-head with the Indian Air Force aerial arsenal in Tarang Shakti 2024. 6 other allied nations will participate as observers. Meanwhile, the Indian Air Force Rafale jets have just landed back in India after returning from Greece and Egypt post-joint drills. Now, this follows the Red Flag 2024 war games at the Eielson Air Force Base in Alaska against the US Air Force. The Ministry of Defense has revealed additional details of Red Flag, which we will get you in just a few minutes. Firstly, let's quickly tell you about the massive and complex Tarang Shakti exercises to be hosted by the Indian Air Force later this year. These exercises have been divided in 2 phases. The first will be held in southern India in the first 2 weeks of August, while the second phase will be held in Jodhpur in the western sector in the later half of August to mid-September. The Indian Air Force will be flexing its muscle and global partnerships just a stone's throw away from the border with Pakistan. Tarang Shakti 2024 also sends a message and a warning to China of India's increasing global partnerships, even as the Chinese PLA threatens to spark a major conflict against either Taiwan, the Philippines or India. So which air forces of the world are participating in India's Tarang Shakti 2024? Leading the way will be the world's largest and the most powerful US Air Force, along with aerial assets from India's other Quad allies including Australia and Japan. The German Air Force, or the Luftwaffe, will also send its Eurofighter Typhoons to participate in these Indian war games. Eurofighter Typhoon is the leading contender for the mega $20 billion MRFA contract for 114 fighter jets, and Tarang Shakti will be a good opportunity for the Typhoon to impress the Indian Air Force. Recently, Indian Air Force Chief Air Chief Marshal V.R. Chaudhary flew a sortie in the Eurofighter Typhoon when he was invited by his German counterpart. India's strategic partner France would also be sending its own air force, likely to be the Rafale fighter jets. IAF is well aware of this beast, as it itself operates 36 French-origin Rafale, 8 of which participated in the Red Flag exercise against the US Air Force in Alaska. According to reports, the Rafale remains the leading choice for the MRFA deal. Even the British Air Force will be participating in India's first multinational aerial military drills. The participating nations would also arrive with their own mid-air refuelers as well as transport aircraft to enable 360-degree simulation of real-world war-like scenarios. Just like the Indian Air Force, which used its own IL-78 air-to-air refuelers and C-17 Globemaster to transport personnel for the transatlantic journey of the 8 Rafale jets to Alaska for the Red Flag war games. Now, recently, the Ministry of Defense revealed additional details of the Red Flag, so let's get into it. The MOD explains, quote, Red Flag is an air combat exercise conducted with multiple scenarios designed to provide realistic combat settings, unquote. So it is a head-to-head exercise between 2 or more air forces, with the Red Force acting as defenders and the Blue Force acting as the aggressors. Now, in Alaska, the USAF assumed the role of the Red Force or defenders, in which the USAF Aggressor Squadron was flying the F-16 and F-15 fighter aircraft. While it has not been specified, but it is safe to assume that the 8 Indian Air Force Rafale jets mostly then assume the role of the Blue Team or the aggressors in these battle drills. India's Rafale flew over 100 sorties during these war games in Alaska, and these exercises were the perfect opportunity for the IAF Rafale to gather experience in neutralizing the F-16s, which is still the backbone of the Pakistani Air Force fleet. MOD adds that this was the first participation of the IAF Rafale in Red Flag exercises, while the IAF Rafale operated alongside the Singapore Air Force and the USAF F-15, F-16 and A-10 aircraft. Other participating nations in Red Flag 2024 included the Royal Air Force from the UK, Royal Netherlands Air Force and the German Luftwaffe. Red Flag is held 4 times a year. Beyond Visual Range Warfare or BVR combat drills were held, as well as large force engagements, including offensive counter-air and enhanced air defense roles. The Indian Air Force crew led mission planning and were assigned the role of team leaders for a variety of missions. The young IAF crew gained invaluable experience flying half the way across the planet and operating and maintaining aircraft at nearly sub-zero temperatures. IAF and the USAF also enhanced interoperability while enhancing tactics and synergy. With experiences in exercises like the Red Flag in Alaska, Indian Air Force is now gearing up to host its own major multinational air exercise, Tarang Shakti 2024. It's a growing testament not only to India's enhanced role in global geopolitics, but also showcases Indian Air Force as a major global rising power. While China has more number of aircraft, multiple defense portals have rated the IAF as a stronger force than the Chinese PLA. This includes the World Directory of Modern Military Aircraft, which places India in 6th place ahead of China in 7th. While 4 of the top 5 are US military wings, including the Air Force, Navy, Army Aviation Corps, and US Marine Corps. However, active squadron strength remains a real concern. IAF currently operates only 31 fighter squadrons instead of an operational need of 42 squadrons. Tejas Mark 1As and Tejas Mark 2s are expected to bridge this gap. However, large-scale production is still a few years away. The big question remains, is the Indian Air Force prepared to face a two-front war? Leave a comment, hit the like button, and subscribe to InConnect News for daily updates on current affairs and geopolitics.